welcome back to Drawing for Kids. To start off, let's go over what material you'll need. You need some Crayola markers, which you can use any color markers that you like. Next, you also need some paper. In addition to that, you'll need some black markers, such as Sharpies. Okay, so as I'm going along, I'll go step by step on how to draw this character, but I really like to invite you to add your own little twist to it to make it your own. There's no pressure to necessarily draw exactly what I have, but let's use that as a guidance to see what we can come up with. As always, remember to add in a little bit of your imagination to make it your own. You can do this drawing with your family and friends, and at the end of it, maybe check out how everybody's drawing turned out at the very end. Are you ready? So we're gonna get started. For today's drawing, we're gonna be doing something from an anime series called Sailor Moon. So in particular, we're gonna focus on Sailor Moon, the main character himself. So let's get started. Here, we're gonna start with Sailor Moon's curls that rest above her head. So you can see these are like these mini crescent C's. Curls that are bangs on top of her head. I'm adding them one by one. They're almost like unfinished crescent moons, don't you think so? Here is a V that goes on the top. Next, I'm gonna work on the rest of her head. So that's the top of her head is connecting to the curls on her bangs on the top, and then another curved line to complete the rest of her head on the top. Of course, she has these large buns on the top of her head. So these are these half circles, semicircles that go on each side of her head, and then one on the other side. On the inside of each of these semicircles are two other semicircles, so we're going to draw those in as well, and then a smaller one on the inside. Now let's even it out and do it on the other side as well. There you go. And now we have her hair almost completed. We're gonna add a little bit of texture to her hair and these curved lines to show that these buns are like braided before she put them into these buns. Next, we're gonna work on her head, but we're gonna add a little jewel on the top of this band onto her forehead. Next, the rest of her face. You can see here, I'm going to do a little bit of a curve here. You can see that her face is not completely round like a circle, but it's more of like a cube shape, like a rounded corner cube shape. Here is where I'm going to put in her bow. It's just a small bow. If you like, you can personalize it and make it into a larger bow if you would like. And then I'm going to draw in the rest of her outfit. Here are her blue covers on the top, and then her sleeves. Next, I'm going to add in some curls and hair that's going to string down from the sides. Again, just doing curved lines, almost like crescent moons, but incomplete. Here, I'm going to add on these braided ponytails that she has. I'm going to do on both sides. If you want, you can make these ponytails a bit longer, or you can make them a little bit shorter depending on what works better for you. So here you can see I'm making sure that they're roughly around the same length on both sides. And there you go. I'm also going to add in her eyes as well. So there's one eye and the other eye. That's just the top of it. I think I'll probably add eyelashes to it later on, but I'm thickening those eyebrows or eyelashes in the top first, and then an oval here and an oval on the other side. Next, I'm gonna add a little bit of a heart on the bottom of her eye. That's probably where the light is gonna glisten off of it. I'm gonna leave that part white in particular, so it makes her eyes shine a little bit more. Adding some eyelashes. If you want, you can add a little bit more or a little bit less. You can also decide if you want to add like color eyelashes. Along the way in this drawing, I'm going to give you some suggestions on how to make your drawing a little bit more different, a little bit more personalized. You don't necessarily have to copy exactly what I do. The idea for this drawing is just to let loose and enjoy the process of drawing, so don't feel pressured that has looked exactly like what I have here. It's okay if the Sailor Moon that you're drawing has like longer hair, perhaps her eyes are smaller, or maybe she has a nose, or she has a much longer dress, or like her legs are longer. Really personalize it to your own. And the other thing to keep in mind is that the drawing is just something you can play around with. You can always do it again if it doesn't work out the first time, or you want to do different versions of it. Next, I'm working on the pleated skirt that Sailor Moon's wearing. So you can see there are like these four-sided rectangles. Next, I'm going to work on her legs. So there are these straight lines, and they're curved at the bottom to where her feet are. This is more of like a chibi version of Sailor Moon, so it's like a little bit more truncated and very cute. If you like other Sailor Moon characters, you can very well do the same drawing starting from the beginning, but just change the hairstyle, and also when you change up the coloring portion, you can do all kinds of characters related to the series. Now I'm going to start coloring, and I'm going to start with the color red, just coloring in the red in her hair ornaments and accessories. I usually use the same color and just color all the parts that's associated color before moving on to the next color. Here, making sure color within the lines and making sure I don't miss any gaps in between. There are actually a lot of red on her dress, like different parts of her dress and her gloves, and also in her high heel shoes as well, which here you can't really tell that it's high heels, but if you want, I'm sure you can make it more distinguishable like that. I'm also going to add a little bit of red to her cheek as well. After finishing up the red, I'm going to use the yellow color because she has a lot of like blonde beautiful hair, some color in her hair, and also the band that's across her head as well. After finishing up the yellow, I'm using the blue to color in her eyes, making sure I leave that little heart section at the bottom so that it looks like her eyes are glistening a little bit. Of course, there's different parts of her dress that's also blue for part of her Sailor Moon dress, both for her collar of her dress and also for the pleated skirt itself is also blue. I think there's different versions of Sailor Moon if you like. I think there is a version where like she has like more white on her dress, or there's rainbow colors from all the different Sailor Scouts, or like pastel colors. So you can definitely play around with that and have fun with it. If you were to use the same drawing and just change up the hairstyle. You could change it to different Sailor Scouts as well, and then just change up like the color of their pleated skirts and also like their associated accessories. So here I'm almost wrapped up. Of course, I'm also using this light apricot color to color in her skin, which will be her face mostly, and also parts of her arm and her legs, because she wears these long gloves and like very tall heels that go up to her knees. And here she is, the final product for Sailor Moon. Thank you so much for joining me on this easy step-by-step drawing with Sharon. I hope you enjoyed this drawing for a Sailor Moon character, and I would love to see you in future videos. If you have other recommendations for other drawings you'd like to see, please comment below. And other than that, I look forward to seeing you in future videos. Take care and stay creative, everyone. Bye for now.